Well, last week we talked about First Contact Day being April 5th, which was Monday.
Right?
So right now, what we have going on is uh, basically Paramount Plus was on Monday. All right. And now we can talk about what happened during that.
Oh,
So
that's right. Do you want to talk about that first?
I think it's probably the best thing just because it's something that happened, that was
Yeah.
interesting, that we learned some things. We learned some really interesting things. And then, some of it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
But
Some of it. Operative keyword. Boring. I don't know, man. It was like 90% of it was just
well, let's talk
boring.
about that first. Let's talk about
All right.
let's talk about that before we talk about what's cool, so we can move into that.
Yeah. So let's wrap up the First Contact anniversary. All right. Shay and I were excited. We sat down and we started watching. And it was like 45 minutes later, I was still waiting for them to end their Zoom call and get the party started. Is when I realized that it was just all a giant Zoom call. It was like an hour
Yeah.
and a half of this Zoom call, and then an hour and a half of that Zoom call. And they're not talking about anything important, anything special. They're just sort of like patting each other on the back, like nonstop. It was like whatever actresses or actors it was, they're just good for you, no, good for you, no, good for you, no, good for you. Like, it's like, oh, and there was a couple pepperings of things in there that was interesting, but for the most part, I just didn't care.
Yeah. Well, I think they rolled out with, I feel like they did something very exciting to begin with. We'll talk about that in a minute. But um, I think they had some things that they wanted to cover. They really wanted the new Trek stuff to be like in the forefront. That was kind of
Right.
the heavy hitting stuff. So they talked about, they really wanted to focus on the women, women of
Oh, that
women of color
panel went on
in
forever.
Trek, and so they talked about that a lot.
It went on for such a long time, though.
It
Like,
did. I mean, they
they needed to pepper. I'm in a live stream. What do you want? What?
Jen's phone number.
Who?
Jen's phone number. Emma and
Oh, okay. All right. I'm in a live stream. I gotta cut all this out now, so that's a lot of extra work. Thanks. Okay. Shut the door. Shut the door, Lana. Lana, shut the door. Thank you.
Oh, and
What?
uh, uh, there's a Bible study at the Religious Church, and we want to go, but we know we're having a Bible study.
We have a Bible study tonight here.
Yeah, but there's not gonna be any kids.
Okay. Whatever mom wants. Okay. All right. So that's every second went by I was just like calculating how much time I'm gonna have to edit.
Yeah, don't feel bad. Dax came in too. I had to give him the finger to go out. So.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. So it's just like the woman in color in Star Trek Zoom call was fine, but it lasted like so long. They went to each person and they gave each person like way too much time. It's
Well,
almost
the
like it
host-
wasn't produced right or something.
No, the host was the female host that was kind of guiding it, that was supposed to be doing it. You could tell when Will Wheaton did his segments, he had control of the situation. But when she did it, it didn't feel like she was really in charge. That each woman kind of took over and kind of went on for a long period of time. I mean, they talked about some good things, but I do think that was one part of it. The Lower Decks portion was, I know Lower Decks isn't really a great show either. We got Discovery, we don't really enjoy a whole lot. Lower Decks, we're not really enjoying that much. So it was a little bit.
Lower Decks.
You like the show?
I sort of do. Cause it was like I watch it with my kids. Like I don't care. You know why I like it? Because I don't care about canon or anything. And to me, it's just it's a cartoon that I can watch with my kids that I'm like mildly interested in because it has like a Star Trek backdrop. It's Rick and
Right.
Morty in the Star Trek world, basically.
Yeah, basically. So, and so it has, but I think some people have some, they don't like it for their own reasons, but they talked, so there was this whole segment about kind of Lower Decks, and you had, they brought in, some people to kind of talk it almost seemed like they had the women of Star Trek and then almost like the men of Star Trek. It was kind of a weird, that panel
Yeah, that was weird
with,
too.
with who was in that one? Was that Brent Spiner? And then,
Yeah, I was looking for it right now.
yeah, it was, let me see if I got a picture of it.
Sonuga
because-
Martin Green was on for a long time too. Like, oh my
Well,
god.
she's right now the face of Star Trek. So, she was going to be front and center like they put her. The host is in the upper right.
Oh, that's upper left. You mean right?
Okay, on my screen, yes, you're right. Upper left. I got everything flipped.
This one
So
right here. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the host.
Yeah, because you know what? She also didn't really know where to look and stuff. I don't think this is her first. I don't think this is her. I don't think she's done this before, or at least not professionally. Because
Right.
she was having a hard time finding her hosting skills were just like very casual, and you can't be casual when you have a bunch of prima donna, no offense, narcissist, because that's what almost all actors are, a bunch of narcissists. Like you have to really rein them in and sort of guide and control it the way. And I'm not even a big fan of Will Wheaton, but he did that. He did definitely guide and control the audience.
Yeah, and he had a lot of practice doing his Trek after show. So he's had some practice doing that.
Right. Oh, I found his. Yeah, and you know what was smart too? The way he started, he started with one person, Brent Spiner, and he sort of
Right.
slowly worked the other people into the room.
Well, and they deserve their own space. I actually like that format where you kind of slowly work people in. Who was doing that was the guy who I can't even remember the show, the YouTube show that got really
I'm in
popular.
the show. I'll be right out.
Do they know you're doing it?
They have to, right?
You told them, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey. All right.
Okay, so I think there was a really great program that some great YouTube channel that came out. The guy who does the voice for in Frozen for that snowman, I can't remember his name, but he was doing a really great program where he would have reunions for movies. And so he would bring them in one at a time and he'd do like a little interview and then he'd bring the next one in. So I think that format is really interesting and draws you in. So then you get into it and you're like, oh, I know that guy. That's Brent Spiner. Okay. So that's Data.
Right.
And then, there's Riker. Okay. And then like, well, who the heck are these guys?
You know what's funny is I didn't know that this guy right here was doing Lower Decks. So I don't want to brag, but that guy started on YouTube.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was a YouTube guy.
How are you bragging by doing that?
I mean, but I feel like that is a thing of note. You have somebody that started making funny videos on the internet and is now
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
heading, a Star Trek product for a studio. I guess it's not bragging, but that is something that should be brought up because that guy was making funny videos on crack.com and stuff back in the day, long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, so it makes sense. I mean, YouTube is now a platform for taking people to the next level. So, I mean, I can see that. That's kind of where talent is being found now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting about this show, the Lower Deck show, is they had a segment where they talked about they're pitching Wesley, pitching for Wesley to have something like where they pick him up where he left with a traveler.
Oh yeah,
Lower Decks, right? So they had a thing. They were talking to him about that, and Wheaton was like, "Oh yeah, I'm 100% into that."
Yeah, of course you are.
So
You're not working.
So you might get his voice in Lower Decks in the upcoming season 2 or season 3.
How funny is
That's
it that
unlocked.
Will Wheaton has, for the last since Star Trek, he has played him when he acts. He's playing himself.
Well, yeah, it's
He
the only thing he's ever done.
4 seasons of Big Bang Theory, and
Yeah.
he was playing himself on Big Bang Theory. He was a series regular on
Wow.
a show about a bunch of nerds where he played himself.
Well, if he was an actor, then he would still be acting. He's not an actor. He's
Yeah.
a guy, And so he was a child actor, and I mean, I know there's a lot of Wesley hate for TNG, but
I don't hate
there's
Wesley.
episodes where I loved it. I loved him in the show and in his place.
I actually prefer the cynical adult that he's become. I I think he's more entertaining now, just embracing the culture. You know, this is me. You know, whatever. You know, he did that. He did that a lot on Big Bang Theory, where he would make fun of himself for being Wesley on a TV show. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, and you got to remember that when TNG came out, I was his age. I was 14 when TNG came out. So that was he was my, like, you know, that's who I'm looking at when I'm watching the show. Yeah,
Wow,
you're imagining yourself.
You guys are the same age?
I don't know if we're the same age, but I think his character was like 13 or 4, whatever. I think was.
Wait, he's older than you?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Wow, I think he's older than you, Shane.
No way.
Yeah. Boy, you got a lot of city miles on you, bro.
What? Let's find out.
That's I guess you can look a lot
Oh,
younger.
no, he is, dude. He's a year older than I am.
Well, you can look younger when you have a lot of money in Hollywood.
Well, he's 48 and I'm 47. So there you
He's
go.
48. Wesley is 48.
Wesley's 48, man. So I related to him as a character. So that's probably why I didn't mind it so much. I know people didn't like him, but I imagine myself, oh, hey, I'm a kid. If I was in Star Trek, this is what I could potentially be doing. Yeah. So I connected well with it.
Yeah. So overall, to me, I thought the whole day was just meh.
I mean, okay, so let's talk about the streaming format, because I do want to talk about the Captain Janeway show Prodigy that she's going to be on. So, but the whole streaming format during COVID was okay. I would have preferred, you know, they did the whole thing in a Zoom meeting. I did not think it was going to be that way. I figured they were going to have maybe an actual panel that was recorded that we watched on Paramount Plus. That's what or that was live maybe or whatever. But I did not expect it to be Zoom meetings.
Right.
I was doing calls.
No, yeah, neither do
So
I.
that was a little I didn't expect that. I expected there to be, because now we're, even in COVID, you can still, you know, get together in small groups and stuff. So I kind of thought that's kind of what that would be. There wouldn't be fans there. So I didn't mind watching it from home. I was okay with that. And being able to see it as, you know, as it was going. Being streamed was cool, right?
Yeah, but here's the deal. I was trying to find it. There was a oh, I think I found it. No, I didn't. There was and I know it's not the same thing, but it's still a live event. There was a live event. Let's just say there's a live event going on at the same time as that live event. Now, it took place at night because it's, you know, it was happening on the other side of the planet. Regardless, though, it was a live event. And I'm going to show you the way they did the live event with COVID and with everything going on. If I can freaking find it. Oh, okay. Here, I found it. So it was the Singapore. It was a game event too. And here's the crazy part too. It's a tournament for a game. Okay. Here's the deal. Bottom line is, you could have totally gotten away with a Zoom type of setup, no problem, because this is a game. But even this company, with their limited resources, less money, had the ability to make these like virtual sets, bro, where they're like talking. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was a physical place. So the people are there. They're physical. The teams are playing. You know, they're 6 feet apart. Look at that virtual space.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a virtual space where the hosts are in this virtual space on this virtual set, and, you know, giving the fans what they want for this tournament. And they have a lot less money than CBS and Paramount. I feel like Paramount jumped on a free version of Zoom and just, it just had actors talk for an hour,
Well, and there's a lot of people who probably signed up for Paramount Plus as a result of that. Just wanting to see that. So yeah, it was a little cheap. I agree.
Again, though, Singapore Major, a company that has a lot less money, resources, and time, put together a 4-day live event with virtual sets and virtual talent. Now, the talent was there, but they're set, and they managed something that felt not only realistic, but it was super entertaining to watch.
Well, and they probably didn't want to be criticized. You got to be honest. Star Trek doesn't want to be criticized, so they probably didn't want to be criticized for having some sort of event in person too soon to talk about, I guess. Even though millions of Americans have already gotten their vaccinations for COVID,
Yeah.
So
and the new numbers came in, and the rate is like the infection rate's down to like 0, it's like 3 zeros and 8. It's so low that it just effectively doesn't matter.
yeah, there's going to be some time before the political aspect of COVID goes away and people can kind of resume, some normalcy. And Star Trek right now, at the current way Star Trek is not going to be the leader in that. So they're still,
I do feel like it's a reason for companies. It's just an excuse for companies to just cheap out on things. And if you criticize them, they're like, "What? You want us to get infected with COVID?"
I know. Yeah, that could be it too. It could be a.
How about I want you to deliver a good product, or
Right.
lose my business? Like, goodness gracious.
Well, and they know that Star Trek fans aren't necessarily going to go away completely. So
Even the ones that are pissed to keep paying them. By
Yeah,
the way,
so-
guys, there's all the other ways to watch it. Heads up.
So something else too. So just a little bit of Discovery information. It looks like they changed the uniforms for season 4. They wanted better contrast for the uniform. So you'll notice that there is a uniform change for season 4.
Is there?
Yeah, there's something to do with the.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah, so I guess it was like mainly a gray with a stripe of color for each division.
Yeah, now it's like, well, I mean, she has red on for command, I believe, right? Yellow.
Well,
I mean, it looks like they're back to their like it looks like an updated TNG.
yeah, I mean, and which honestly is the way it should be.
Yeah, you
It should be that way. Yeah, I mean, there, the colors. Star Trek is known for the colors. Medical,
Medical's blue, right?
medical's blue.
Science or whatever.
Yeah, science is blue. Yeah,
So these are engineering or bridge crew.
engineering's red. So that's why I was kind of like,
Oh, look, looks
Usually
like
yellow
medical's
is
white
command.
now. Looks like
Yellow.
medical's white. Well, it makes more sense for medical to be white.
actually it does. Science blue, medical white. I kind of like that better.
Yeah, listen, these are great uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way it should have been from the get-go.
No, they're good. I mean, you know what? Look, if anything that they can improve, please do. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, at least this makes sense because now it's like, oh, we're in the future. Because they're in the future. Spoiler alert. My bad if you haven't watched it. And like the future would definitely be using, they'd be using futuristic versions of the uniforms that we're used to, versus whatever jumpsuits that they were using before. By the way, totally for me, that was never a criticism because if you look at Enterprise, which was the start of like the Federation,
Their
they
uniform.
wore like the mechanic jumpsuits, and then Discovery was wearing like sort of blues like jumpsuits. I could totally see that being like some kind of like past, a connection between the Enterprise and the original series. So I never
And by the
complained
way,
about that.
And I never liked that Enterprise had those uniforms.
No, people complained about that. But my thing is like, I mean, you're not really doubling down. You're just like sort of supporting your own canon. So I never complained about it, but I realized people didn't like it. So if you were going to do it, you got to do it right. When they did introduce the TOS era like uniforms, it actually annoyed me that Discovery just like didn't get on board with that for some reason, even though those were the new uniforms.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity in season 2 to like introduce the new uniforms, and like for some reason Discovery was like, "Oh, we're gonna stick with our older ones," or I don't know.
Yeah, there was a big feel for like, how they're just, we're going to do it our way. Okay.
Right. All right, guys. Whatever you want.
The last thing I want to talk about for this Paramount Plus for First Contact Day for this segment is I want to talk about The Prodigy. Now I know a lot of people are gonna look over this show because it's the Nickelodeon one they're making for kids.
Oh.
Okay, but I see, right, you did see how you just did that. But honestly, I think this may be the most interesting of the new things that are coming. First off, we're getting a full-time Kate Mulgrew. Okay,
Full time.
full time. She is basically going to be. She's essentially going to be the main character.
Yeah.
So but here's what's cool about her. She is a hologram in the future. So this takes place after Voyager in the time frame. And she's a hologram. And she's there basically to advise this crew of aliens. And which one of these aliens is going to tie to the original series. So one of the aliens in this cartoon ties to the original series.
Interesting.
So it's an animated show. It's going to be for younger audiences, but it might have enough. It might have some interesting canon things in there, and plus we're going to get more Kate Mulgrew, which, frankly speaking, is one of my favorite things in Star Trek. I love Captain Janeway.
Sure.
So getting more of that, and she's completely embraced it, dude. She's all in.
Right.
You know, you got the new, you got her new, whatever CG character, whatever cartoon character, which it looks like her. She actually had him ugly it up a little bit. She said it was too pretty. She said she was too pretty. She had him like make it less beautiful, I guess. But it actually looks it looks like her. And I'm actually going to watch this when it comes out because I want to know a little bit. And if it's too immature and kidsy, then, you know, I will bring my kids in and sit them down and I will introduce them to Star Trek this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Lower Decks is still an adult mentality, right?
I mean, sort of. It's
the jokes are adult oriented, right?
Not really. No,
Okay.
the jokes, like you would think they would. It always feels like they're going to go there, but they don't really ever really go there. You know?
I mean, they don't get nasty adult. I'm not saying, you know,
it's not Rick and
R-
Morty. It's like,
right?
yeah, it's not Family Guy. You know, it's.
But the jokes are up here. They're not. You know what I'm saying? They're not for.
Sure.
They're not kid. You know.
Yeah,
That isn't kid speak.
There's a surprising low level of jokes on that show. But yeah.
Okay. So, but it's not like, let's see, one you would be familiar with, like one of the popular kid shows today. Lower Decks is an adult cartoon show,
Right.
correct or wrong?
Sure.
Okay. So this is a kids show, which I would feel better about getting my kids into watching Star Trek. So then I can get them watching this and then hopefully move them into something, you know, older.
Right.
That they would want to watch with me. So
Yeah.
maybe they watch this, then we get them to watch Voyager and say, hey, there's the captain from Prodigy. Now you can watch her shows, because honestly, it's hard to get the kids to watch Star Trek with me.
Yeah, I would just like never show them the motion picture because they'll just fall asleep.
Well, it's hard for most people can't even watch TOS anymore.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
And
All right.
that's my game.
Yeah, so overall, the Converse Contact Day was, for me, disappointment. You know, a couple
Okay.
cool things. I do feel like any trailers they had, they could have just released those trailers. You know, didn't really require a whole day. But they wanted to save up their 2 or 3 trailers so they can pepper them into a day of mostly boring nonsense.
Thanks for watching. To see the full conversation, become a member of the Popcast family. Use the link in the description below or go to our channel and click the join button. Select your tier and we'll see you at the next show.
I've been waiting for you.